Ryan Kelly. I'm here in Gill, Massachusetts today, and we're here with Pam Reapold. She is the Executive Vice President of Travel-Cuz. Pam, thanks for spending some time with us.
How are you?
We're doing pretty good. How about yourself?
So good.
Yeah, we're. So tell me, it's June of 2021.
Thank God.
And you see, we're heading in the right direction. So tell us, what are we doing here at Travel-Cuz these days?
We are, it feels like we're going 100 miles a minute right now. We've got a lot going on, just trying to be ready to move again. And it just seems so crazy that we're so busy getting ready because we're standing still, you know?
Well, you know, it's funny being at your location, you know, because you're finishing up a school year, and you actually have people on buses.
We do.
And, you know, everybody's, I guess, have like 175 school buses, so they're coming to the barn for a summer and preparing really to get your motor coaches back out there on the road. So tell us about the last 12 months and your next 12 months, and, you know, how's it been?
It's been a wild ride. It's just been crazy to have, there have been, I don't know, 34 first days of school this year.
Yeah.
Everything keeps changing, but it's been a great opportunity for us to learn to change and learn to just keep pivoting and flexing and what's the next thing and what do we need to learn next. And it's just been a super opportunity for our team to just kind of see what we're made of.
Now, how many districts do you serve with your school buses?
I think it's about 9.
Okay.
We do. And each one of them are different. And, you know, they're on different schedules and they have different needs and different protocols and just different ways of handling things. So it's just been a great exercise for our team to provide everything that everybody needs.
Now, did your school shut down for a while? Were you not running buses?
We ran nothing last spring except we did a lot of meal deliveries and homework exchanges and things like that. So we did have some school buses and some people on the road, but other than that, we had no regular school bus routes.
So this year, you know, when school started back in fall of 2020, were you on the road?
Some. We started the year at about 20% in September and slowly ticked forward. It wasn't until the middle of April that we had about 80 or 90% of our fleet on the road for the yellow buses.
Now, we've had some time this week. We've had kids in some of the shoots that we've been doing, and it's smiling, excited to be back together. I think people, especially, you know, it's a beautiful time of year here in Gill. We've had really nice weather. But to see these groups of kids being able to be together, play sports, and be on your buses, and, you know, what a real joy.
It really, the first day, like, that people had, like, drivers had been on the buses, they hadn't seen their kids, you know, in months and months. And some of them came back here, and they were just, like, on cloud 9, they got to see them, and they're like, even though we could only see half of their faces, it was just such a joy to just be together again. And it was really therapeutic, I think, for a lot of people. I know that when we first had a few buses leave the yard, I like cried. I'm like, oh my God, we're moving just a little. Or I was on my way to visit somebody not too long ago, and I passed one of my own coaches on the highway, and I went, oh my God, we're moving.
Now, now Travel-Cuz is a 100-year-old business.
We are. We're closing in on it. I think we're about 97 years now.
Wow. So, 97 years ago, how did the company start?
Horse and wagon.
Really?
We did, yeah. That's how we transported school children via horse and wagon. And I joke a lot of the times now with our superintendents. I'm like, because back in the day, the superintendent had to go to the farm at the end of winter to check the horses just to make sure they were like fat enough to pull the wagons through the spring mud. Wow. So, and now it's a little bit different.
You are in western Massachusetts.
We are.
It's absolutely gorgeous here. Historical small towns popping out everywhere.
It really is kind of pretty here, that's for sure. We're like right on the Vermont-New Hampshire corridor, so we're a few minutes to everything. We're near Boston, we're near New York City, we're near the coast. We're in a really great location to get to a lot of places.
So, been transporting kids for 97 years. But when did you guys decide that y'all wanted to acquire and start working with motor coaches?
We tried it in the 80s, late 80s, and we decided, man, this is a lot of work. So we took a little hiatus for it, and then we've been back at it, I want to say 10, 12 years.
Okay.
But quite honestly, back in the day, I was only paying attention to my school buses. I really wasn't even looking at our coach business at that point in my career. I was just focusing on learning everything I could about yellow buses.
Well, we've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with your drivers this week. They take great pride in their motor coaches. They are assigned their own coach. And you have a fleet of Setras out there. You do have some MCIs and Van Hoels, but your drivers love these Setras.
They do. They're like the best. I'm like, you guys should all be like sales reps, because we sent some of them out to Germany, and we call it Setra Camp, and they went to the test track, and they actually had a week-long schooling on everything that the vehicle can do, and they had the skid plates out and all this, and they got to really, really experience what those vehicles can do and all of the safety features that are built into them, and they came back just even more in love with them than when they left, and it's really been fun to watch them. They're just so proud. Well,
they're loyal too, because I've heard you've recently acquired a different brand of Motorcoach, and some of your drivers have been offered the newer equipment, but they don't want. They want those.
Yeah.
They like the Setra.
I'm staying with my 6-year-old bus. I love it. I don't want that brand new one. It's.
I thought it was interesting because we haven't spent a lot of time on Setras, but I was fascinated with the glass in the roof and the ceiling and how it changes the complete journey of, especially if you're a tourist and you're trying to look at things,
It's beautiful. I mean, you just see, it's like you're in an open area. It gives you so much more visibility. It's beautiful foliage here in New England, and we get to see that. Or we do a lot of work in New York City, and you don't miss anything when you can just see all around you. There's just a lot of glass in that bus, and great viewpoints everywhere you look.
So what is your focus, mainly with your charter bus crew?
We do a lot of international tourism. But our drivers also really like to do the college athletics and things like that, because it's more localized. You get more of a hometown feel. They like to really get in there and be the team's driver. You know what I mean?
We had the opportunity once again yesterday. Apparently you have one of the most gifted softball teams in the country here, and your driver, we spent the whole time with the gentleman that transports them, and just the partnership with the group and the driver who drives that
They
group.
are on the team. I mean, we've had some guys that are uniformed. We're driving the Steeplecats. The coach driver is in a Steeplecats shirt or jacket. The basketball team driver, he's got his varsity jacket. I mean, they are part of the team. They know what's going on. They go on scouting missions with the team. I mean, they're really heavily involved. It's such a great partnership. However, we sometimes too get like school bus drivers whose daughter is on the softball team or the basketball team. So now she's not only getting paid to drive her, she doesn't have to miss a game. She's making money too, and there's just some great ways that we can make that work.
Now, we're coming out of this pandemic that we've all had to hunker down, and so what do you see here on the eastern seaboard in New England? What do you see in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think that people are really itching to get out there and see things. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to help people find treasures in their own backyard. Folks that were fine being homebodies, I think, are really wanting to go somewhere. I mean, yesterday when we did our pretend trip, right? We just drove some people around and they were like excited to be. I'm like, we're going nowhere, and they're happy. Oh my God. I think we really, there's just so much out there in our own backyard, or maybe folks will realize it's time to get out there and see a little more of the country.
Well, your backyard is just full of American history. I mean, that's in our time traveling, capturing B-roll, and these towns have been around from like the mid-1600s. And
we have a lot of colonial neighborhoods in western and central Massachusetts. Well, Boston too,
And that was, I didn't realize that Boston they've kept a lot of their history, and even though we do have the skyscraper sections of the city, it's they didn't tear it down. They maintained the buildings, and it's absolutely beautiful.
It really is. Boston's a great walkable city.
So if you were going to take a group to 3 places in your jurisdiction here, where would you take them?
God, only 3?
Well, I mean, we only have time for 3 probably, so
The Berkshires are great. There are so many fun things. You could spend a whole day in the Berkshires, just eat whitewater rafting. We have some great whitewater rafting, and there's zip lining and mountain coasters and all kinds of really great things. There's wonderful spas and golf courses. We've got breweries popping up left and right. There's just so many great things to do outside, especially this time of year. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, one more place. Where's the third one? Well, you know, you do business in Vermont too, so Vermont's not how far up the road?
Vermont is 10 minutes up the road.
All right, so.
Yeah, I mean that's another great. There's skiing. We've got it all right here.
So, one takeaway from having to close your doors and not know the unknown for where we are now, you know, something you've learned and something you want to do better as a business owner.
It's been nothing but a learning opportunity. It's great to be prepared, and it's hard to be. Who could have seen this coming? Nobody could have been prepared for this, but we learned a lot from it. We hunkered down, and we didn't just sit there and go, we'll just wait till we open back up, because there was all this idle time that we never have. You're always playing catch up, right? And chasing things and just trying to get ahead of the curve, but you can't. And this was such a great opportunity to get ahead of the curve. And what are all the things that we need to work on? You know, in my opinion, there's never enough time for training. No matter how much you do, you always should be doing more. That's what we focus on anyway, but it gave us this opportunity to really revamp our entire training program and make it more accessible for our people, so that no matter where they are, they can access training, but also put together some real solid protocols so that when we can get all together again, we're going to do, you know, our hands-on stuff is really detailed now.
You do a lot of things for the city and with your school kids. Like yesterday, you had a school bus safety program. That's something that you saw a need for, and you created it yourself.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
I would love to.
All right.
Because during our, you know, COVID break, I'm like, let's go and do some research and find a really great school bus training program. And I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find what we needed. And I went, why the heck do we not have something out there that really speaks to what? So I'm like, let's just make something. We got the time, we've got the talent, and we enlisted local school administrators, teachers and principals and things like that we have great relationships with, and we worked together to really create a multifaceted kind of training program that starts with the drivers, but it doesn't end there. We work with our school departments, our teachers, our administrators, to let them know what we need from them to support our drivers. And then we go out into our communities and we work with the students themselves in the schools, but also the families, the parents. This is why we need to do what we need to do when we're on the buses. This is what we need from you as a parent to keep everybody as safe as possible when we're on the bus. And we're at open houses and civic and community events and things like that, doing school bus safety, recruitment, anything that we can do to just kind of let the community know where we are and what we're up to. And school bus drivers are so highly trained, and people don't realize that. People don't realize everything that they go through, not just to get their license, but to maintain it. So I think it's important that we share that message with everybody so that they could feel even more confident about the people that they're trusting their kids with.
Another, I guess, interesting thing that I learned being here this week was you advertise on the radio, and you get a lot of positive feedback from that. Like you were saying that you are in the grocery store and people walk up to you and they enjoy.
Yeah, we heard your latest ad. That's great. It's fun. You know, there are people in our community that don't realize that FM Kosmeskis and Travel Cuz are the same company.
Okay.
There are people that live 5 miles down the road that don't know we have limousines. So I'm like, well, we better do a better job of spreading our word so that everybody knows what's going on. And whether or not they're looking for a bus or looking for a job, they're still hearing our messages. You know, in August we stop advertising, and we do public service announcements. So the advertising hours that I pay for are on, hey, when you see a school bus in your neighborhood, chances are it's going to stop, and be prepared for it to stop. And when those lights come on, it's telling you something. So we do a lot of things like that just to remind people that we're out here and what's going on. we challenge other businesses for local charity fundraisers and things like that. If we get involved in something, we might call out another business on the radio and say, hey, we're doing this, why don't you do it too? How about together we can make an even bigger impact for our community?
Speaking of that, you have a bus outside that you've talk about. I won't even introduce it. I'll let you tell us about the bus.
It's the prettiest bus in the whole wide world. We had some brand new Van Hools sitting in our yard, and they were still white from the factory. And I would look at them and I would go, ugh, they're just so boring looking. They're plain and they're white. We don't have them painted or branded yet. And then my mechanics went, let's do something cool. Like, let's have, like, I don't know, maybe an artist can come and paint it or something. And then, I don't know, what can we do with that? And I'm like, I know what we can do with that. And I reached out to my friends at the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization and said, hey, we would love to do something for your organization. And when we put our thinking caps on, and we had a contest within our community for local artists to design what that bus would look like. And we got some incredible submissions. Like, it was really hard to make up our mind, but the one we landed on just had such great messaging. It really depicted everything that Big Brothers is all about. So we had a local sign company, Hale Signs, that helped us out with designing, that putting the wrap together. Took weeks and weeks for them to, it was pretty detail oriented. And then we got the bus back on March 11th. So it sat in our parking lot for the last 15 months. It really hasn't moved yet, but I'm so excited because when people do call to book the Big Brothers bus, I just call it the pretty bus because it's just so stinking gorgeous. Then we donate 2% of the proceeds back to Big Brothers for a full year. So we're hoping to get that moving so we can help them, because those agencies have really been crushed by this pandemic as well.
And that's a very interesting way to challenge your community to partner with you to do good for the organizations, because they can choose any of these buses, but if they choose that bus, now they're helping the community.
They are, and so people need the corporate outings and things like that. I think we're going to want to get back out there and do things with our employees to, thank them for standing by us throughout all of this and being there and working hard and all those things, so we can get together and find some great places to take our people and make money for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
So what a wonderful week it's been. We appreciate you having us at your business, and it's been a pleasure you letting us inside to meet your.
We are so happy to have you.
And we're here with Pam Riopald. She is the Executive Vice President of Travel Cuz, and we've been excited to be here this week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.